Hey everyone, how's it going? In this one, I wanted to talk a little bit further into researching for ourselves, because when we decide to get into this, we really do need to become our own researchers, our own journalists, our own scientists, our own spies, our own whatever it is that gets you in the mode of being detective mode. Because not saying that you have to be a professional at it, but you need to realize that you need to look at things from an unbiased point of view. And that's really tough, is because I realize that the reason why each of us fights so hard for our sides of this is right and yours is wrong is because maybe 100% we don't know fully if our sides are right. And so we fight so hard for, no, this is right, and this proves this. What mine said that I gave you proves what I said. And that is very ego-based, is because we feel we need to prove what we believe is true. And I came from there as well, and I totally agree that you need to be able to prove that what you say is true. Except for when you step out of that paradigm perspective, because to be in that paradigm perspective, you need to believe that what we are being told as a humanity, as a collective, as a group from each government is in fact telling us the truth, that media does tell us the truth. And while I believe that it was intended to, and that it did begin with the good faith of people to do this for public, for the well-being of people, we need to understand that those things over the years can be infiltrated, that what used to be good for us may no longer be good for us. We need to realize that things change. We need to realize that you can't just turn a blind eye because you don't wish to believe that people will not do that to you. Because let me tell you, that is exactly when people will do that to you. It's exactly like a cheater. When you are in a relationship and you have a cheater, everyone else is telling you that they're cheating on you, and yet this person is telling you that they're not. And how often do we get caught in that relationship where, you know what, screw what everyone else says, I'm gonna lose friends, I'm gonna lose family over this because I believe that he or she loves me and they would not do this to me, and they're telling me they're not doing this to me. Until years later, we find out that they were the whole time cheating on us. And then how stupid do we feel? How stupid do we feel that we listened to what they were saying to us? Yet all this other proof from other people, even though we couldn't substantiate that it was proof, was true. And that's kind of similar as to the situation we're looking at right now, is that we do believe that the world and everything is meant to be good for us. And while it was and is in ways, there are so many dark sides to it that we just care not to look at. But those dark sides have now gotten way more unbalanced over the good stuff, that we need to take a look into this stuff now, because things in the world are changing in a direction that is not in a good, healthy way for the beneficial of all. It's not. And you'll see that it's very apparent when you actually get into studying and researching the things happening in past, into today, and plans for the future. So, when getting into this, we need to also realize that what we were raised in and brought up in, while that is a part of the truth, we need to take that and put it aside and come to a balanced, fair ground where we just, put what you believe aside and now take a look at the information in front of you. What happens here is we need to realize too where we come from in life, and how many answers it actually answers, how many questions are left unanswered, how many holes are left in the timeline of things. There's so many things to this. We also need to realize that, a big number one is, if you will never see this on the news, but if you look onto the internet, they have so many videos of where they replay news stories over again from region to region to region, and how everyone is pretty much word for word, and the intonations they play are in the exact same places. That has to make you wonder, no? And if it doesn't, fine, but check them out, because this is when it starts to let you know that what they tell us on the news is something that is pre-written already by someone to give to us the impression that they wish to. That's another thing about news that we need to realize too, is that there used to be more independent journalists and freedom of speech, and over the years it has come to that only a few, or okay, a little more than a few, 2 handfuls-ish, own all the media. And from there, what all that media is saying. And when you realize the things that they are saying and the things that they are not saying, it again leaves room for question. So what I'm trying to say here too is that when you're researching in this stuff, you don't have to come up with a conclusion right away. I started just looking here and there, and I just gather information. I just gathered and continued to gather until groups started to form themselves, where I didn't even have to put them together, where somehow there was just a link. And from there is when things just start to, you continue going down, because it is a rabbit hole. Holy crap, do you just go, and you gather all this information. So basically how I look at it too is, what is it that you believe of life? Because from what I was brought up to believe of life and how I saw life, I did believe the book of life to be about this big. Everything that we could have ever known about history, about our behavior, about how we act, where we are today, pinnacle, all that stuff, this is the book of life. And I put that aside. And what I learned was the true book of life is this, and it just keeps going. And it keeps going. And while it sounds like a gigantic, infinite book of life that never stops going, that is more true to what we actually are and experience as cells, organisms, universe, into humans and earth and all that kind of stuff, than it is about what we're sold on as what life is, which is just this chunk. And this is the chunk that we're told is the only truths of life. When in truth, everything is truth. And it's kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. It's really hard, is because we have been raised to look like this, rather than actually use everything and to look around and see, and even behind us. I think the hardest part for people is that they don't wish to believe that other people could do this to us. But you need to know that not everyone is like you. And while you are a good intended person, that there are opposites that live out there. And not just that, some people are of good intentions, thinking that what they're doing is good, until they find out that it's not what they were doing at all. And you'll find that happens a lot. A lot of researchers and scientists think they're working towards a goal until they find out what they were truly working towards, and that's when they become whistleblowers. So keep in mind that as well. So I think that's all I had to say about this, is basically you are going to have to become your own unbiased researcher, journalist, scientist, detective, and from there, exactly, take a look at information. If you don't know what to go towards, I will give you a bunch of stuff that you can look into. But basically, this is why instinct and gut is important, is because your instinct and gut will lead you on the path that you yourself, and if you don't believe in it, fine, but your soul would like you to go on, the journey that you have printed for yourself of what you would like to know. And that's what's really cool about who we are as well, is because there's so much information out there, and there is. I don't just mean information that you can find here on Human World. I mean so much information on the whole of universal scale that we actually do have access to. We just don't know how to do it right now, even though some of us do. And actually a big chunk of us do. And they're all out there telling you how, and I will be telling you how as well. But for me right now, what we need to realize is that there is something up with our system, that we need to admit that we need to do better. Because if we believe that everything is fine and dandy right now and we just keep going with what it is, that's exactly why we're experiencing what we are, is because the systems we have in place right now are not actually beneficial to those that are suffering and those that are continuing to suffering, those that will be suffering and those that have already suffered. And that is the point of all this, is if we take a good look as what is truly happening in the world, realizing what our systems are enabling, then we can realize that we do need to make a change as a collective, because what we're doing is not beneficial to the true beneficiality of all. And what I mean by that is starvation, disease, sickness, no water, like just Oh, so many things. Anyways, but a lot of it is from within. We have a lot of within work to do. And so, yes, when you can come from an unbiased stage, look at both sides, realize stuff about the people that you trust at the moment. That's the other thing about trust and information. And if you believe that yours is 100% fact and nothing else, is if you truly believe and confidently believe in that, then confidently believe in that and put it aside. And then take a look at what the other things are saying, but from a side where your mind is not just so connected to what you believe, because you need to realize how that perspective changes what you read. Have you ever noticed that, how you felt emotional about a situation, and when you read something or saw something, how you felt and how you felt it said something, and then later, years later, you go back and look at it and realize that it wasn't saying what you thought it was, that the emotions that you felt then, that all the things that you felt it was actually wasn't, but what you felt created what you thought it said. So we have to realize that too. That's why realizing your perspective, realizing what you feed your mind, realizing how honest with yourself, realizing if you can come from an unbiased place, a non-judgmental, non-opinion, and just look at the facts, information that is there. You need to know if you can do that, because it's not easy. And this is something that actually will go into life as well, is because this is when situations also go into people with arguments, people with communication, what you're saying to each other, how that affects everything. Because in truth, our mind, perspective, perception affects everything. And I mean, it could be used in the way too against me if you want that, because I believe in this stuff, that this is why I see it. But at the same time, I came from the same world as you did. I came from the world that believed in everything that I was told, taught, raised in. And I took the time for over 5 years now to look at the other information from a different side. And it has brought me in front of you. And in truth, everyone that I know and have known through time that goes digging for this information comes out on the exact same side. And all that lets you know is the ones that don't understand this stuff are the ones that are too scared or deciding to stay ignorant, are the ones that haven't looked deep into this side at all. And I actually do think it has to do with fear, because people don't wish to believe that people in the world can do this to us. But all I have to tell you is, no matter what you do, if you decide to look or not, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that these people aren't suffering. And the more you decide not to look, just because you don't want to believe that people can do this to people, the more people are suffering, the more people are dying, and the more and more we're continuing to enable this to happen again and again, and for generation to generation. Do you know, by not looking at this information, how many children are dying each year, each month, each second, each moment? Do you know how many people are suffering and getting not new diseases, but newer, because it's in our generation and the last but not previous? There's so much. Anyways, good luck to all. And please, yes, be kind. There's going to be a lot of shockers coming in, and you need to... I don't want to say you need to forgive right away, even though that is the most ideal. I mean, at the same time, you are going to get quite upset for a bit, and you're going to have to deal with that, because suppressing isn't good either. This is a time where everything is going to be, we're not doing one step at a time. We're kind of doing everything kind of together in a way. I guess in a way, boy-girl brain, right? Boy brain is, they do things individualized, and girls is always multi. And I'm a girl, and so I guess I do everything multi. So I guess do whatever way is best for you, because in truth, that's what's meant for you. The best way for you is what's meant for you, and the best way for you is only what you can be led by. I can't tell you what's best for you. Only you can discover what is best for you. And that comes from being truly honest with yourself, which comes from loving yourself. So, yeah, good luck, everyone.